Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be reading winter books for a week. So I've got some books from my January TBR and my winter TBR that I am planning on reading this week. We'll see what we get to. There are two that I definitely want to read and then one that I might read. I've got maybe some other ones on my Kindle if I change my mind later in the week that we can go through when the time comes. Before we get into the video, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any more videos from me. And let me know what's on your winter TBR. I would love to know what sort of wintry books you're reading post-holiday. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, let's go through these books quickly. All right, first one, and this is the one I'm going to be starting with for sure, is The Frozen River. This is a mystery historical fiction set in Maine where this midwife is summoned to examine the body of this man who was entombed in ice and try to figure out how he died. And through that, she learns a lot of different things going on in the town. She's kind of like the woman holding all the gossip from what I understand. So this one is for sure my most anticipated. I will be starting this one first. I'm very, very excited about it. If you have not watched any of my videos, you wouldn't know that I've been on a historical fiction kick recently. And so you'll see with these other books, I'm loving historical fiction right now. So the next book is Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. I have been saving this one for a while. I've had it on my shelf for years, but I hadn't read any Kristen Hanna until last year, and now that I have, I want to read everything she's written, but I definitely wanted to save this one for the winter time, obviously given the title. And I think it's sort of a past-present timeline flashing back to a mom's life, and she's telling it to her daughters. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. Anyway, this one is on Kindle Unlimited and Audible Plus, so I've got the audiobook I can read for this one. This one, if I want, I could use an Audible credit on or use my Spotify hours on. I love to read a book in multiple formats, so it's nice to have options. And then the last book I have on here is The Life We Bury. This one's also on Audible Plus, I think. But this is another past-present timeline, and it is about a college student interviewing this man who was a veteran but also murdered somebody. So he's learning about his story, what happened to him in the past. It looks really interesting. One of my family members just read this and really enjoyed it. So, and based on the cover, it looks just perfect for this time of year. So those are the books we've got. I will definitely be starting with this one. Today is Sunday and I'm gonna just film probably for about a week. It's been snowing pretty much all day and I'm just feeling very wintry vibes. Trying to keep the positive spirit going about the winter post-Christmas. It can be difficult because that is a really fun thing to anticipate in the winter time, and then you still have like many more months, especially because I live in Vermont. Winter goes on forever. Anyway, that's what we're doing in today's video. I will talk to you guys after I've gotten a little ways into this book. Hi friends, it's Thursday now. I haven't talked to you since Sunday because I haven't had much to say. It's been kind of a busy week. I've been doing other stuff. I was busy reading some other books, and I'll give you a quick update on that just because this is like a fun reading vlog. I was reading Parable of the Sower for my book club, which I'm really enjoying. And I also listened to yesterday, and I finished this morning, The House of My Mother, I think. It's Sherry Frankie's memoir, who's the daughter of Ruby Frankie, who had 8 Passengers, the YouTube channel. She was like a mommy vlogger and she got arrested for child abuse. It was really intense and heartbreaking, but the story was really good and I listened to the audiobook. It was really, really good. So I would definitely recommend it pretty much to everybody. It was very good. So anyway, that was what I was distracted with yesterday because that just came out and I really wanted to read it. So now we can talk about the book that we're reading in this video, which is The Frozen River. I'm gonna just take the dust jacket off because it's bothering me. We can just look at the beautiful spine. This book I am enjoying so much, and it's been snowing here in Vermont pretty much all week long. It's been freezing. Like, I wake up and leave the house and it's 10 degrees and it's snowing. And today it was snowing, as you saw during my lunch break. It was snowing outside, and I was reading these chapters in the book where it was like snow day after day, like this like huge blizzard, and the vibes were so good. Like, I love reading a book when the season matches the season that I'm currently in. It's like one of my favorite things ever. So I'm so glad I waited to read this book until the winter. It would not have been the same in any other season. On top of that, I just love the main character. So I don't really think I said too much about what this book is about. It's basically a historical fiction book set in like the late 1700s, like 1790-ish in Maine. And it follows this woman who is a midwife for this town. And right at the beginning of the book, they find a man dead in the ice. And he's like frozen into the ice. And it happened like recently, so it wasn't like they uncovered him from like years in the past. And he was also very controversial in the town for something that he and this other person did. I don't know if it says it on the dust jacket, so I'm not going to say what it is. So they're investigating his death. They're investigating the other guy that is alive that did this thing with him. And this main character knows so much that goes on in the town because she's the midwife. Because she's a midwife in the town, she knows all of the women, she knows a lot of people in the town, and she's also a medical professional, so she was like called in to identify his body and all these things. So pretty much this story is just following that and what's going on with like her family and her neighbors and other things like that. And at points I feel like it should be like slow, but it's not. I'm so interested in the story. Like the writing is really good and it feels very like it's bringing me back to the time period, which I love. And the relationship between the main character and her husband is so beautiful, and we're getting little crumbs of it, like it's just like sprinkled in through the story. We're getting like a few flashbacks of them when they first met and got married, and he's like angel perfect man, which is something that you just don't see in this time period. So that part has been really beautiful to read, and the descriptions of the atmosphere are so good. Like the place setting is so well done, and I am living in the cold New England winter, so I'm really connecting to how she feels right now about being freezing cold. But it's just so well done. So my main thoughts about this book are that I'm loving it so much. My mom is gonna love this book. I'm excited to tell her about it, and I know she's watching this, so definitely you should be reading this book. And for my historical fiction girlies, definitely would recommend this one so far. So now that we've gotten all that out of the way, I am probably about an hour out from when I want to go lay down in bed. There's a chance that I finish this before I go to work tomorrow because I'm not working out tomorrow morning, so I can just wake up and read, which I haven't done yet this week. And I honestly don't do that super often, but if I'm reading a really good book, I will do that. I think this book is like 450 pages and I'm on page 243. So actually maybe tomorrow morning is ambitious, but I've got, like I said, about an hour. I'm on page 243 and I'm gonna just sit here and read. I've got like face wash, teeth brushed, dishes done. Everything is all ready for bed. I'm ready to just sit on the couch, be cozy. I'll put one of those like vibe atmosphere things on the TV that I love to put on while I'm reading. Something snowy, and I'm gonna read this book. I'm just loving it so much. Like I was reading it at lunch today and I did not want to stop. So I'm really excited to be reading it right now. And yeah, that's all I have to say to you guys. I will either talk to you before I go to bed or tomorrow morning. I'm looking for a video to watch, and I usually do like cafe or like snowy room with the fireplace crackling, but I decided to search 1700s ambiance just to see what came up. YouTube is vast. There is a lot of stuff on here. I want like snow. Okay, we've got winter vibes in a Victorian kitchen. This is what's on the TV right now. Hi guys, I am sorry that I have not been that good at updating you during this vlog, but I'm waiting for my dinner to cool off, and so I thought I would give you a little reading update on where I'm at in these books. Let's start with The Frozen River. I finished this book on Friday. Today is Sunday. This book was so good. Like, I'm so happy that this, as a highly anticipated read of the year, was as good as I expected it to be. It's always very sad when you think a book is going to be really good and then it doesn't end up being good, but this one definitely lived up to that expectation. It was so beautifully written. The characters were just so fun to follow along with, and you really like cared about their story. And it wasn't first person, which I don't typically like as much as third person. I'm curious what you think on that, because I know people are very divided on that, but I honestly didn't even realize it was in first person until halfway through, just because the style of writing was more like somebody who was writing in third person. And you did get some perspectives of some other characters through the eyes of the main character that I think is why it felt more like first person. But it was so well written. The love story between this woman and her husband was just so beautiful, and we didn't really get a lot of it, but the little pieces that we got of their like history and their present story were just so heartwarming and beautiful, and I loved it so much. And at the very end there's like a good like 10 pages of the author's note where she talks about her research process for this book, how she came about this main character. And this was a historical fiction book where the main character, Martha Ballard, was actually a real life person, and that was her real name. And she kept a lot of people's names and a lot of the facts of the characters true to history. She shortened some things like timeline wise, but those were the most major changes she made pretty much. And I think it's so interesting when you can write a story like that based off of real people without really, I don't know, without changing too much. I think it's so awesome. And this is why I love historical fiction so much, and why I'm so happy I've been getting back into it recently, is because it's like reading a nonfiction book almost, but it's fun because you get to learn these things, but you're not actually reading a nonfiction book, so it's more interesting. So that's my review on The Frozen River. I rated this 5 stars. It was a beautiful book. I texted my mom as soon as I was done, letting her know that she had to read it, because the whole time I was reading it, I definitely was thinking of her. This is like super up her alley. This is a little bit of a mom book. It was a great book, and I would recommend it to everybody, especially if you are in a cold climate right now. Read it now while it's still cold and wintry. So 5 stars. Super happy that I finally read this, and I'm tempted to buy my own copy because I loved it so much. So we'll see if that happens, but that's it on The Frozen River. Then on Friday, after I finished that book, I started The Winter Garden. Oh no, it's just called Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. This one is on Kindle Unlimited and on Audible Plus or whatever, so I've been listening to it and reading it mostly on my Kindle. I don't think I've even like picked up the physical book to read. I'm on about page 200, and there are almost 400 pages in this book, so I'm a little over halfway done. And this is a story. Let's see what's on the back cover. I don't want to spoil anything. So there's a big thing that happens in the first like 70 pages that sort of sets the tone for the book, and the main story is about these 2 women, Nina and Meredith, and their mother, Anya. And their mother has always been extremely closed off, very not mother-like, super cold towards her kids, like a sort of parent that would never say I love you and does not really connect to their children that much. And so the relationship between these women and their mother is not great. And after this thing happens, 70-ish pages into the book, they are sort of reconnecting with their mother. Nina is a travel journalist. She spends most of her time in Africa, Asia, taking photos in these like very intense war sort of situations. So she's not home a lot. Her relationship with her sister Meredith isn't that great, because Meredith is home taking care of the family business, and in this book she's also going through some stuff with her marriage. Her children are both like freshman, sophomore in college, so you're getting those sort of stories of Meredith and Nina, and then the story of them trying to reconnect with their mom. And their mom is telling a fairy tale is what they're calling it, and it's taking place in Russia, and you're getting all these details of it, and I think it's pretty obvious what the fairy tale is, and so that part I'm not finding as interesting. Like, the story is interesting that she's talking about, but it's not like a present past multiple timeline story. It's more of like the mom is sitting down and telling like her fairy tale. So that's sort of where we're at right now, and I'm not enjoying it. Like, I really like Kristen Hanna's writing. I think she is such a talented author, and the way she writes is very easy to read, and she does a great job of characterization, and I think these characters are well thought out and well developed, but I'm a little bit bored. There's just a lot of the like, oh, we have such a bad relationship with our mom. Oh, we're so sad about this thing. Oh, my relationship with my husband is so bad. And Meredith is like a little bit the problem in that situation. So it's a little bit frustrating to read her parts where she's like, I could just like reach out. I just want to reach out and tell him I love him, but I can't. I'm like, but why not if you feel that way? Anyway, that part is really bothering me, but I am halfway through. I was considering DNFing this, but I'm gonna stick it out because I love Kristen Hanna. I want to read more of her backlist, and because I have the audiobook and I'm already 200 pages in, I feel like I've got to see it through. And like I said, I'm not enjoying it, but this one is feeling more of like a in the 3-star range book right now. Definitely not as excited as I was reading The Frozen River, but that's where we're at right now. I am hoping to get another good chunk of this read tonight, and then hopefully finish it tomorrow. I'll be able to listen to the book while I'm at work, and then I'll start the other book that I had. I think it's called The Life We Bury. That's more of like a mystery, but still kind of like a past present storytelling timeline. So these books all have like a thread. They connect in ways other than they just are about winter. Oh, and the other thing about this one is now it's not taking place in winter anymore. It's not like fully set in winter like The Frozen River was, so that's fine. It just wasn't what I was expecting. Anyway, those are all the updates I have. I'm going to read this, probably listen to it a little bit more, or read it on my Kindle, and I will talk to you guys honestly probably when I'm done. Unless something crazy happens and my mind changes, I don't really think my feelings are going to change too much in the second half of the book. Hi guys, I have a little interesting tripod situation. I've got you on my computer, and then my friend just got me this like little ring light thing for Christmas, and I definitely could like clamp it somewhere, but I don't have the energy. Oh, I just realized I got the curry I was making for dinner on my pants. Anyway, I'm here to give you guys some updates on my reading because I read a lot today, like easily 300 pages, mostly just through audiobook listening. Today was a pretty slow day at work. So we'll start with The Winter Garden. So when I talked to you last night, I was saying I wasn't loving this book, and I was like halfway through, and it definitely hit all of the points of a Kristen Hanna book. Like I said last night, like the setting, the characters, the beautiful writing. The part that we got in the second 200 pages was an ending that made me cry. This is a classic Kristen Hanna book. This is the third one I've read, so I'm no pro, but from my experience, that's what we got with this book, and I did like it more towards the end. I ended up rating it a 3.75. I think that this story would have benefited from a then and now timeline rather than the past timeline being told as like a fairy tale, and I just don't think that worked very well for this book. I think that it was really obvious what the fairy tale was from the very beginning, and I did like that it wasn't obvious to the main characters, but the ending was really good, and I was tearing up at my desk a little bit listening to the end of it, and I am glad that I read it. It's definitely my least favorite of the 3 Kristen Hanna books I've read, but it wasn't a bad book. So that's my review on The Winter Garden. Then on my lunch break, because I finished that, I was like listening to that all morning, I started The Life We Bury by Alan Eskins, and I picked this one up at the library a while ago now. I've had it for a couple months out of the library, honestly. I haven't had to return it yet, and I picked it up because it was like a wintry cover, but then I saw my cousin read this on Goodreads and she enjoyed it, and the premise sounded compelling, so I decided to read it. It's about this boy named Joe, and he goes to college like a couple hours away from his mom's house, and his mom has some drug and alcohol problems and has been a very distant mother, pretty much bad mother, his whole life, and him going to college was his out of that situation pretty much. And he has a younger brother who has autism, who's very dependent on their mom, but their mom isn't always there, and so that's the setup of the character. And he has this assignment for class where he has to interview an older person to hear about their life story, and so he doesn't have any family that's elderly, and so he decides to just go to a nursing home. And there he finds this guy who was a convicted murderer, and they were like, well, I guess you could talk to this guy. He's the only one at this nursing home who has a memory left. And he was like, okay, well, I gotta do this project. So now he's talking to this guy, trying to understand his life story, and he's getting other pieces of evidence from other people about the murder that happened. And he's sort of trying to put all the pieces together. At the same time, he's dealing with stuff with his family, like his mom was arrested. He had to go get his brother and bring him to live with him for a couple days. There's those sort of things going on. So right now I am compelled to keep reading. I'm interested in the story. I want to know what happens. The writing is meh. It's like a first person perspective book that is not fantastic to me, and I definitely feel for Joe. Like, he's going through a lot in his life, and it is really challenging for him to try to make this like independent life for himself, because his mom is pretty much blackmailing him and like depending on him so much, and that's been really difficult for him. And so I'm interested to see if this story situation is kind of him finding his path in life and his way out, so to speak. And I'm feeling in the 3-star range right now. So I'm about 140 pages in of about 300 pages. So I'm almost halfway. I will finish this one tomorrow for sure. But that's my update for now. I'm sorry that this vlog has just been me talking about my books. I don't know if you guys like that more, if you like when I add a bunch of B-roll in and stuff. I just have been doing a lot of my reading during the workday, so I'm not getting B-roll obviously while I'm sitting at my desk just like listening to my audiobook. So that is the reality of being somebody who works a 9-to-5 job and also loves to read books. You gotta fit it in where you can. So anyway, that's all I have to share with you for now. I will probably talk to you guys when I finish this, hoping to read some more tonight like I said, and then listen to the rest tomorrow. This one is on Audible Plus too, which is cool. I didn't realize that until after I had checked it out of the library, and I'll talk to you guys later. Hi friends, I'm coming back to you a couple days later to finish off this video and talk to you guys about the last book I read, The Life We Bury. Thanks for sticking around in this vlog. Sorry it's been a little bit all over the place. If you want a more normal reading vlog, I'll link my playlist in the cards here. I've done a lot of reading vlogs, and I feel like I talked a lot about a lot of great books in here, but didn't really do a lot of showing, which I like to do more in my reading vlogs, but just wanted to put that little disclaimer out there. Anyway, I finished this book a couple days ago. I rated it a 3 stars. It was not great. I wish I liked it more than I did. I definitely talked to you about what this was about and how I was feeling like 100-ish pages in, and my feelings pretty much stayed the same, if not got worse about it. I think that the main character Joe just fell really flat for me. He had like a traumatic backstory and like was definitely not dealt the best hand of cards in life, but besides that I just feel like there wasn't much to him character-wise. I wanted there to be more, and all this stuff like happens right at the end that's like pretty intense, and then it's just kind of like over. And I don't know if it was the format I was reading, like the listening that I was doing, but I just thought that this was kind of flat and the writing wasn't fantastic. And this is like a series, sort of interconnected standalone series with the detective in this book who was also not really that relevant, and then Joe, he has some more of his, I think he becomes a journalist or something, but I won't be reading any more of those. So anyway, that's my review of this book. Wish I liked it more than I did. Of the books we read together in this video, we had The Frozen River, my first 5-star of the year. Loved this book so much. I just loved this book. It was amazing. Then we read The Winter Garden. It was okay. I think I rated this one a 3.75. I liked it more towards the end. Classic Kristen Hanna things in a book. Well, I loved it, but wasn't my favorite of hers. And then we read The Life We Bury, which I just talked about, and I rated 3 stars. So an interesting range. All very wintry books. Mainly this one I feel like was the most wintry book, even though these two look like they would be wintry books. This one, like, I think it mentioned it was cold like twice, but it wasn't really wintry other than that. And this one was just winter in the title. There wasn't really a lot of winter in this book either. So let me know your favorite wintry books below, preferably ones like The Frozen River that actually take place in the winter time. But it's always fun to read books with the seasons because that definitely helps with the atmosphere of things. So thank you guys for watching all the way till the end of this video. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any more videos from me, and let me know what you want to see this year. I'm trying to like plan out my content for the year, and I would love to make videos that you would love to see, books you want to see me reading, things you want to see me talking about. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye friends.